Welcome back to another week of Kernel at the Buzzer. Before this podcast starts, we want to remind you that everyone on today's podcast has their own opinions and they do not reflect the Kernel in entirety. Welcome back to another week of Kernel at the Buzzer. I'm your host, Kai Mclelland, and once again, I'm joined by my co-host, Schill, my co-host, AJ Nava, and today we're welcoming guest Lane Mills, who's a writer for KY Insider.
Welcome to the pod. Welcome to the pod.
Very happy to have you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
So, guys, this portal has been absolutely insane. We've seen some really big action from Kentucky lately. We will give a disclaimer before we dive into this. It's Wednesday, April 2nd when we're recording this. We know someone's probably going to commit, like AJ said, probably here in like 50 minutes. So,
yeah, it's 3:08. Watch someone transfer at 3:10. I guarantee you.
It's 3:10 on my laptop, so I don't know.
Yeah. We all have our Twitters up ready.
I got 3:08 on my phone. It's my laptop. That's my bad.
Okay.
It's my bad.
Anyways.
Lane, I know we've talked about it, and I wanted you to kind of dive into it, but Kentucky's missed out on, some big guys already who we thought were, like, set in stone.
Right. Yeah. You kind of wonder. I mean, Twitter's going crazy, and people are like, does Pope have a plan? I think he has to have a plan. Magoon was a big one. You had Donovan Dent just kind of seemed like false smoke, false hope.
Right.
He seemed like a UCLA log from the jump. A lot of rumors like that from California, wanted to stay over there. But I thought Magoon was different. And the crystal balls come in, you think you got that guy landed, and then...
I mean, you had a whole article prepped up.
Dude, I had a whole article prepped up, like he was going to commit, and then he stays home. So now you're just kind of like, fans are freaking out, you're empty-handed. I mean, you got Cam Williams, who is a great pickup, and I think he's going to be really good, but still got holes to fill.
Yeah, absolutely. Isn't that a heartbreaker when you, have a whole thing ready, and then it doesn't pan out?
Yeah.
That's a shame.
I loved him, too. I think he's a great prospect.
I was really disappointed we didn't get Thomas Jr. from UNLV.
Yeah.
I thought that was enough.
There's been a few that have felt like, oh, yeah, this will be a lock. And I don't know if that's just how Lakers fans always think of the Lakers, you know what I mean?
Yes, it is.
Or if it's the same effect. But I feel like everyone's coming to Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we're hot right now.
I mean, I saw a tweet.
We're
It's
new,
like
fresh.
Kentucky fans are so delusional. Like, you're not getting there's only 11 to 13 spots. Like, you're not getting everybody. Like,
you know how the Lakers have a Photoshop of every single NBA player, and that's how Kentucky is.
They got Giannis.
I saw
Curry.
Thomas Jr. a little edit, and then he went to LSU, and it
so many jersey swaps. I've seen so many jersey swaps.
I got the Magoon Guath fan page following me. Kentucky, it's like, bro,
it's like
you're quick with it. I bet that account's suspended by now. But
you would think it's a sure thing, but the portal just never is. Never is.
I think it's tough too because last year, I mean, at this current point, we're 2 weeks behind where we began last year with Pope. So he didn't have much time, and it just felt so quick and easy for him to just throw this roster together.
Yeah.
So this year, not only do we need less players, but we have a lot more time to get them. So I think it's good to have faith that he's going to figure it out, but it's just hard from a fan's perspective to see all these targets.
Yeah. It's different. I guess you're right. It's different thinking about the team last year because everybody was already gone at this point when Kentucky was trying to build their roster.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, all right, there's 200 guys in the portal, 30 of them are solid, 5 or 10 of them are pretty good,
right.
And none of them are stars at this point. And so now Kentucky has a chance to try and grab stars. And it's a little bit, manic, I think, in the minds of the fans because they're like, oh, well, we didn't get this guy. We need to get this guy. We need to get this guy. It was like when Kentucky didn't get Hunter Dickinson last year.
Right.
And it's similar to that where we're not getting the stars. They're not getting the stars. But now I think if everybody just kind of breathes for a minute and is like, hey, there's a record number of transfers in the portal, you're gonna find 10 guys. Now, you don't even need 10, really. You're going to find 4 or 5 guys that you're like, okay, this is a Kentucky Wildcat. And you already have with Cam Williams.
Yeah, Cam Williams is a dog, dude.
And
he's cool.
The point I kind of want to bring up, Cam Williams is the perfect mold for it already. Mark Pope last year, Otega and Lamont are ballers. They were ballers when they came from Oklahoma and San Diego State. But they took a different step offensively when they came to Kentucky, in my opinion. And you get the guys you need for your team, not the guys who are just the best, ranked in the transfer portal, all this crap. You got Yaxel. He's the number one. It's like the biggest, Kentucky needs to get this guy. But if they don't, it's like, well, I'm pretty sure Mark Pope has an idea of who he's going to go get and build the type of team he wants, not the type of team that's going to almost look Calipari-ish and, look good on paper and then not perform when it matters. So I think BBN needs to chill a little bit. Give it another week or two, and if nothing's ramping up, then you can worry.
Yeah. Then we could start setting fire to downtown. We're like, what's
there's
going
time.
on?
Like there's so much. I mean, Kentucky was still looking for a coach at this point.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I don't even think they were in that. I think they were still saying,
It was
is he
April
coming
4th.
back?
April
Yeah.
4th was when he did the
When he
open
posted
press.
the video.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So-
exactly. At this point, it was like Kentucky fans were thinking, all right, we got Jaden Quinton, you know what I mean? And like Quinton's and then like everybody who was coming up from high school, and then snap of a finger, everyone was gone. So, yeah, I think harping on that point of chill out, it's going to be fine. Kentucky will be good next year.
I think it's because BBN was spoiled this season. Like, no one had any expectations for them, and then Pope took them to the Sweet 16. Now they're all riding a high. And who are we going to get? Who are we going to get? Calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down.
There's still guys who haven't entered the portal, too, that are going to be really good. Like, we've already got 1,200 plus dudes in, and we've got so much time for more to enter. So, I mean, it could just be a matter of waiting to find the right fit, too. And if anybody knows how to put a roster together and fast, it's Pope.
Yeah. I got a question for whoever feels as if answering. Who do you all think right now is the guy that Kentucky needs to grab to be like, all right, right now between this guy and Cam, we're having a solid start in the portal?
I'm gonna just straight up say it. I know I'm kind of contradicting myself, but you got to go get Yaxel. I mean, he's a monster. I mean, I'm pretty sure, Lane, I saw you post his last game with UAB.
17 rebounds.
17 boards.
Ridiculous, man. I don't think.
If you get 17 boards out of a guy who's, he's not listed as a center. Is he forward?
No, he's 6'9", 6'9".
Okay.
He's like a smaller Amari Williams almost.
Yes.
He moves
but
like a
he's
guard,
so
too.
athletic. He moves so well. He almost kind of reminds me of like a Harrison Ingram, kind of like a KJ Adams, but he's more lengthy in that part. He's not just a compact big forward. So this is the guy you got to pay for. He's number one right now. Of all the people in the portal, Yaxel's number one. And, if you're going to spend some millions, if you're going to call yourself a basketball school, go get that number one guy. And then you can dip into the guys that are ranked in the 50s, the 40s, and build your roster so it can, match the culture, but also be a team that can do a little bit of everything.
My question with Yaxel is, do you think if he is in a good spot in the mock drafts, he'll decide not to come back?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's a first-round pick at a UAB especially, he might just go on and go.
His numbers are ridiculous.
Unreal.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
17.7, 11.4 rebounds, 4.2 assists, 1.8 blocks, 1.7 steals, shooting 52%.
Yeah, and the scary thing is he could go ahead and commit somewhere and then just go
Leave.
anyway. This weekend, he could commit to Kentucky, and then we could have this whole roster built around him, and then he goes to the Combine, and they're like, yeah, you'll be 20-ish, and he just goes.
Yeah.
So
And
that's how
tough.
That's
it's
how
tough,
RJ
yeah.
is too from St. John's. He's technically in the portal, but he's going to the draft as well. And obviously you got to make that decision by a certain date, but it's kind of like he said, it could mess some teams up. RJ could be in Kentucky tomorrow, but he's probably going to be a lower lottery pick. So
With Yaxel too, there's been a lot of smoke and whispers about he could commit by the weekend.
Yeah,
UK
that's
and
what I'm
Michigan
hearing,
are
too.
kind of in the lead. And if Michigan, they just landed Merez Johnson, who's the same height, plays the same position. Kind of seems like that would open things up for Kentucky. Pope flew out to Chicago, might be the only coach who had a chance to meet with him before the commitment, if he did commit by the weekend.
It's almost like that meeting didn't go so well in Michigan for them. It's almost like, why would you
Interesting.
pick up a guy right after you're trying to get
Right.
the better version of him?
Right.
So until he's locked up, why not keep going for it?
Right.
But I guess do as you wish. But Lane, who do you think right now is the lock-in that Kentucky needs?
Right. Yaxel's the big one, but I think maybe playing it a little safer. I like Jaron Pierre, which we talked yesterday. He's at a Jacksonville State, I believe. 22 points, 6 boards, 4 assists, 6'5" guard.
Yeah.
55% from the field, 41% from three.
Tough.
Wait,
tough.
that wasn't him. My bad. That's Alvaro Figueres. I want him too. Just
no,
for the
you
record.
were right though. I mean, he was the nation's leading scorer last year.
Elite scorer.
22 a game.
Unreal.
And I mean, KY Insider was lucky enough to break that news that he was interested in Kentucky. He seems like you're saying, he seems like the safe one. Like, how many offers is a guy from Jack State getting, even though he's like the nation's leading scorer? He probably has like a number of small schools interested and then like 4 or 5 big dogs.
And it helps that Pope's already kind of like touched base with that guy. And I don't have any quotes from the KY Insider interview, but he seemed like mutually interested. So if that's a guy, if you go grab this like elite scorer, he's coming into his final year of eligibility, you land him, I think a lot of people can just kind of like chill out for a minute. You've got a guy to throw in that backcourt, which is what people are kind of wanting. And like you said, like top scorer in the nation, that's an unreal stat. So if you grab him and then follow that up with like Alvaro Figueres from Robert Morris to kind of come in and be that Andrew Carr replacement, those are 2 like lower key commits I think you could grab before you go for like the big one, like a Yaxel or something.
He does match the vibe, I will say.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the little armband. He looks like Otega a little bit. Like, he's a cool little guard.
And speaking of Otega, people got to keep in mind too that like if you want him back, you're gonna have to pay him.
Oh,
yeah.
And so like
boatload of money.
April
boatload of
Fool's
money,
joke of the year. Him
Oh
going
no.
to Tennessee. I knew it wasn't real, obviously, but like for that 1 second when I'm like waking up, rolling out of bed, get on Twitter, and I'm like that.
No way.
Rub my
No
eyes
way.
a little bit. Am I dreaming? Oh gosh, yeah, you got to pay Otega. What do you think? How much?
Oh, you gotta
What's his
give
price?
him at least. I think
A
the
mil or two.
minimum. How much?
$1 million or $2 million.
$1 million or $2 million? I think the minimum is like $3 million.
No way. He's getting a minimum of $1 million wherever he goes, I think. But I think
his
I think
stock
Kentucky
is
could throw him
high.
like 1.3 and he'll stay.
I think that like $1.5 million to $2 million is kind of like the sweet spot.
I think
Yeah.
$2 million is where it's gonna land at.
I'm with you. Yeah, I think
I
that's
mean,
I'd be
from-
surprised if he declared for the draft.
Yeah.
He's not
regardless.
gonna
I don't think
declare.
he'll declare.
He has some stuff left to do here.
He's got to fix
For
that
sure.
jumper. But
Yeah, I'm
that's
not finished.
Hey, that
Wow.
the middy's nice. With
The
three
middy's
points.
nice.
I guess
He's
it doesn't
nice.
matter how it goes up; it's how it goes in. But
Dude, if he develops a consistent 3-ball, I mean, like we're
He'd be
looking at
great.
like the best scorer in the nation.
yeah,
Unreal.
for sure, because that's adding on.
So,
a
He's
lot of
already
points
one of
that
the
he
most
literally
dangerous
can hold.
slashers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say I hate to sit here and like predict what Pope will do, but it's so interesting to see like his little hints. He said on his radio show, the last one of the season, that he wants Trent Noah to gain about 20 pounds this offseason. Trent Noah's going to be Draymond Green, dude. Like he's going to be like
Trent Noah plus 20 pounds would be a beast.
that's what I'm
Be a
saying,
monster.
and he's a big guy too.
Yeah,
like
he'd be a
I
beast.
think a lot of people see like pictures of him and think like, I don't know, maybe he's around like that Reed Shepherd size. Nah, dude, like
big dude.
He's a
He's
big
big.
dude. He's like closer to Amari than Reed, so it's like it's almost kind of scary thinking of how much if he gains weight. I mean,
Right.
get some boards, still be that good shooter.
And
Like
he already gets more boards than like most guys on the roster, including people a
that
lot
could-
bigger than him.
that could honestly be your like straight up your Andrew Carr replacement. Like
could be
that
a
would
four,
be
yeah.
literally Andrew Carr again.
Especially
so.
like the way ball is today.
But you
got
gotta pick. If you gain weight that fast, it messes up your jumper real quick.
Oh,
Think
yeah,
of
true.
Giannis Antetokounmpo. He used to be a just below league average 3-pointer. Then he gained all that weight. Still to this day, no one guards him at the 3. I want Trent to more. If he does gain weight like that, slow and deliberate, kind of like Steph, But
it's valid.
still,
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you gain it too quick, it could definitely mess up his game.
mhm.
He's just a streaky guy right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw the plays he was making, like March Madness,
Man,
SEC
yeah.
tournament. He checks in, hits a crazy 3, gets fouled,
Mhm.
hits off 3 free
Yeah.
throws. I mean, he's a guy you got to guard out there. So I think Kentucky needs to make sure he's able to space the floor when he's out there.
Yeah,
Is all I'm trying
that's
to get
the priority. I mean, that's one of his big roles here. So let's keep it that way.
Just like a textbook hustle guy too. Like he's
Yeah.
flying
Oh,
in for
yeah.
boards. All like 6 boards
That's who you
off
need.
the bench is not even like unusual for him, and some bigs don't average that. Like speaking of Magoon, like he averages 5 boards. He's 7 foot tall. Like, I don't know how tall Trent Noah is, but he's
Not 7 foot.
Not
coming in and
7
grabbing
foot.
5 boards, no problem.
Yeah.
Like if he puts on weight.
I will say it seems like Pope is trying to get that guy at the 5 who is like very lengthy, can block shots, and he's not looking to be the scorer. I got another name here with Taylor Bobowen.
Yes, sir.
He's just like Magoon. I mean, like if you want to split image of somebody, it's literally him. 6'10", shoots 40 from 3.
Yeah, I was
53
gonna
on catch and shoot.
I was hoping you wouldn't glaze over that. 40% from 3 at 6'10" is crazy.
I think he could get better too, because in his freshman year he shot 21% from 3. So in 1 year it jumped 20%.
Like that's crazy.
That's unreal.
And I will say too, like, just talking front court, you have no idea who that name's gonna be, but imagine Bo Bowen with a husky Trent Noah, and then you have
Husky.
Sorry, and then you got Malachi Moreno and BG coming off the bench as well. Like the front court's built if you get those guys.
Malachi's better than people are giving him credit. I think he's gonna come in and contribute immediately. Like,
shout out Malachi for winning that state chip not too long ago.
He looks good, dude.
I'll tell you what.
I don't think he'll be a center here though.
You don't think so?
What do you think?
Flex. At the 4.
You think so?
4?
I think so.
Maybe
you don't think he'll be a flex player, like 4 or 5?
He would, but I think if they get a 7-footer, then they're not gonna.
I mean,
like,
I know it's high school and they always give you 2 inches, but they announced him as 7'1".
They put him at
7'1".
7'1".
I thought he was.
He's
like,
6'11".
I thought he was like 6'10".
He's
But I guess
6'11" by
Listen,
growing.
if he's
Yeah.
6'11" and a half, can we just call him 7 foot?
Yeah.
Sure, we call it 7 foot.
Yeah.
I guess these heights say
Because
taller than I am.
I'm 6'2" and a half. In reality, I'm about 6'1", 6 foot. You know, so we can.
6'2". You give yourself 2.5 inches.
And I'm
No.
and I'm like 6'2", and like you're taller than me, so it's like
Exactly.
Man, I'm like 6'3".
I'm like 6'4"
shorter
without
than both of y'all, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm shorter than both of y'all
Lord.
at 6'3",
I
so
just
I
got
don't
a
know what
hunch.
you guys are on.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like
See, my posture's just really
That's
bad.
bad
So
posture,
really,
yeah.
I'm
I'm not even wearing
6'4"
shoes.
without a
Can we
posture.
Can we start talking about basketball?
Yeah.
I do think that shooting would be something that Kentucky could really use. I think they're going to miss that. Regardless, I think they're going to miss it. You're not going to have Kobe. You're not going to have Jackson. Like, 2 of the best shooters in the country. Not going to have them back again. You're big
That
hole.
hurts every time you say it.
Yeah, no, right? It's a big hole in the roster that you have to fill. I think Ryland Griffin is somebody that would do great things for Kentucky on their roster, averaging, only 6 points, 2 rebounds, we'll call it 1.5 assists a game, not playing a whole lot of minutes. And that was that was a bad season for Kansas. Like, not a great year. It's not like a team that was a standout, and this was like their star. This is like a good player on a not great team from last season, still Kansas. Regardless, shoots 45 from the field, basically 40% from beyond the arc. And, previous to last season was putting up 11 points per game. So he's somebody that Kentucky could really use after losing 2 big pieces on offense.
And there's so many names. That's why it's so hard to talk about. But like DeLon Love from Pittsburgh, or like I saw Kobe I think of Kobe Bryant.
He's coming back.
Yeah,
It's literally
Kobe Bryant's coming back.
I'm telling you, it's literally Kobe Bryant again. But Riley Kugel, man, when he was at Florida, he came off the bench and he was I would call him one of the greatest shooters in the nation. And last year, going to a lesser SEC school, but he still competed, and they still made the SEC tournament, made the tourney. They did their thing, but man, Riley Kugel is a guy to watch out. You got Caleb Grill in the portal too. I watched him in person, dude. He sparked 3 threes from half court at Mississippi State. I was like, all right, get him a room light.
How is he still?
Call his phone.
He's like 28 years old, bro.
Dude,
Yeah,
this is last season.
Really?
This is last season.
This is college sports in the 2020s.
Yeah,
It's got some old guys rolling through there.
Hey, speaking of April Fools, I did see the Hunter Dickinson is eligible for 7th year of basketball.
Yeah. I also saw his
Yeah.
jersey swap with LinkedIn, so
Yo.
I've seen a lot of fun stuff.
He's a host now. Like he's not a host, but he's like an analyst officially now. He's
He
on,
wasn't going to be able
he's
to
on
play
ESPN
basketball.
and stuff. And
His
Good for
basketball
him.
career
What does
wasn't
he
gonna
know,
work
bro?
out, so.
Hey man,
Did you guys? I don't know if you've heard the name Abdi Bashir Jr. I hope I'm saying that right. Out of Monmouth.
I'm not familiar with his
Dude
game.
is a 6'7" guard. Dropped 38 on Rutgers. Averaged 20 points a game this year. I think we've been in contact as far as I know. He called Kentucky the bluest of blue bloods. So we're talking about a
He's
dude
a
who's-
nation's leader in three-pointer made last season.
That's what I'm saying, man.
127.
Anybody who's putting up
Okay.
a 38-point game, like in general, is a guy to look out for. But if he's already mentioned us, and at 6'7", and you're moving like a guard, nation's leading 3-point shooter, guy can score anywhere. I'd be really interested to see what he could bring if that's an option. I mean, that's just a guy to look out for, kind of on the
One
low.
more guy that I think would fit so well with the chemistry and just the energy that Pope's trying to bring would be Lamar Wilkerson.
Yeah.
From Sam Houston State.
that's a good pull.
That's a good one.
Also just
Wrote in
like
his homework.
also just like nailing threes, dude. Who does he shoot? 45%, shooting 8 threes a game.
Jeez.
I'm seeing a pattern here. You're all looking at guys who are just have that strap on them.
I'm
Just,
thinking that in where Kentucky had their weaknesses this season, with who they would need going forward, they need new big guys and they need new shooters and ball handlers.
Yeah, because I think okay, I don't want Trump. Why did I say Trump?
Trump?
The president? Running the point?
We'll cut that out.
President Trump?
No, I'm not cutting that out. We got Trump running point. Hey.
So I'm assuming you meant
he's a man,
Trent.
bro.
Yeah.
Not Trump.
He's a natural too.
I don't think Trent and Colin are planned to be the starters. I think those still have to be you know.
Wow.
I'm sorry, but I hope not.
I don't want.
Wow.
They're great, but starters at Kentucky.
Year 2
Yeah.
Colin Chandler is about to be a revelation, bro.
Dude,
No, he's not.
You don't think so?
That's what I'm getting.
He's hitting
at.
logo threes in March
He looked
Madness.
great in my
Good, man.
issues in 21st century sports journalism class last semester. So I think he'll put up some numbers.
Oh Lord. I'm just saying I don't want Pope to be the guy that trusts his team too much and doesn't shop in the portal. I think that's what we're getting at.
Yeah, I mean Chandler, I think Perry and Noah are pretty surefire to be back, but Chandler and BG
is somebody that I was going to bring up soon.
We don't know.
We don't know if
Yeah.
he's going to be back, and I think you have to assume that he won't be. At the way that you're building a roster in college basketball, you have to assume that your star players aren't coming back. So I think the way that Pope is thinking about it is okay, only people I got coming back are Trent, Travis, Colin, and Ortega, probably.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully,
We'll see.
probably.
I know for a fact he's 99% draft in Kentucky. That's how it is.
Yeah.
So it's I don't see him going anywhere else.
I definitely don't see him leaving. But I see if he's leaving for the draft. Not for another school, I mean. But
Right.
If he goes, man, oh God.
Brandon is somebody that I think he's already he fits so good with the culture here, and I think that it would be good to keep him around. But I do think that he can get more NIL somewhere else.
I don't think he's ready to start yet either, which is why I was excited to see Magoon come in because it would have been.
He's on the borderline,
Yeah.
he could start and have a great season and put up great numbers and be a really good big guy to have down there, but
Yeah, I guess I didn't see.
you never
enough.
know.
With a guy like Magoon there, they could both push each other. I think that'd be something to look forward to see. They're both fighting for that starting spot. That could
I don't
lead
even
to
think
some
it would
great
be a
things.
fight, but yeah.
Or compete
Competing
in their
at least
mind.
in their mind,
They're
competing
competing,
is a good way to have it.
And that extra
I
drive.
think the bench was so this year at least the bench was so fiery. Where every time they got out there, no matter who it was, they were all right, I'm gonna be a flamethrower, and they just started lighting up the rim. So I think that they kind of had that competitive aspect in mind. Well, this team's great. I need to earn my PT, and I think it's going to be the same thing in the offseason for these guys, but also every time a new person comes in, the returners are going to be all right, I need to prove myself. So I think we might get some interesting battles and some outbreaks from some guys that maybe we wouldn't be expecting.
Yeah, I think people are also kind of sleeping on our freshmen. We already talked about Moreno, but I think Caden Lewis is going to be really good.
Caden Lewis, yeah.
I think he's unreal.
Is he official for Kentucky yet?
Yeah.
Because I've seen him teasing his official commitment a lot.
Wasn't he on the rub floor with Jasper?
No, yeah, you're thinking of this other guy. Oh goodness.
I tweeted it this morning. I'm
Nate Ament. You're thinking of Nate Ament, who just he just took away his commitment decision. He was going to drop it, but he postponed it. And he still decided between, I think, Auburn, Duke, Kentucky, Louisville, and Tennessee or something.
I think Arkansas is in there because I heard some Arkansas smoke earlier, some pretty heavy Arkansas
Here, guys,
smoke.
I got the tweet.
Yeah,
Hold on.
so that was Nate Ament. But Caden Lewis, yes. He's a little undersized, but I think a lot of the guards that Kentucky picks up at high school are undersized at 6'2". Regardless, I'm not saying that means anything, but, a guard who's
He's a lefty too, isn't he?
Yeah, a guard who's able to just have the ball in a string, I think, is somebody that Kentucky needs to be relying on this season coming off the bench. Is to have a guy who can keep the ball on a string, pass really well, not turn it over that much.
Yeah.
And that's what they need. And I think he'll be able to deliver that.
Yeah, Caden, you jump from this season, Chris has started, and then we were having Travis Perry, play guard off the bench for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I want a transfer guy. Whoever you have starting over at Caden, that second unit, him coming off and leading that is going to be huge.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be huge, and he'll be here for a while, I think he's going to develop.
I hope.
You never know in this new.
True, though. He could dip mid-season. We wouldn't.
But the exact tweet.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I got
true.
a quote from Malachi after the All-Star game last night saying to Nate, he said, "You've seen what Kentucky has. They have crazy fans, great facilities. It's a real true place where you can reach your dreams."
I heard this. Yeah, I read
You
that
have
quote off
that-
your Twitter earlier.
You have that from a guy who hasn't even played a game at Kentucky yet.
Yeah.
That's some heart. That's a Kentucky native at
That's
its
awesome,
finest.
man.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a
And-
guy who's a Cats fan by
But
heart.
Oh,
right?
let me say,
Bleeds blue.
I also saw Nate right after that. He said that Caden and the other Boozer twins in his ear, and I'm like, man, if he goes to Duke, I swear.
Nah.
Don't go to Duke. Please don't go to
Duke. Don't go to Duke.
He
Don't
feels like
listen
a-
to those Boozer twins,
Oh, those
man.
Boozer twins.
Don't
And here's
listen
the
to
thing.
them.
This is the most Duke thing
Oh,
ever.
they're so
One of them
good,
was
too.
verbally committed to North Carolina, like under the hush-hush, and then the other one committed to Duke, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to
That
go
must
to
hurt
my
your
Oh,
feelings so
It hurt
much.
my feelings, man, because I instantly assume, I'm like, okay, Carlos Boozer, man, Duke legend, Bulls legend. You got to follow your dad's footsteps, right? And then I may hear him whispers like, hey, one could be a Tar Heel, and then Caden could be a Duke. And I'm
Well,
like, yo.
I was thinking the same thing about like Kean Anthony. You know, I was like, he'll go to Syracuse.
Right.
You know, he'll run through his dad's footsteps. I mean, that guy. You know, his dad's name is on everything in the facilities. But
Yeah,
you
right.
know,
Fair.
it's not like that these days. I think that's why
No,
Bronny
no.
didn't go to one and done out of high school.
But-
I guess.
Like he had the choice.
I do have
Trust, dude.
some
He
good
would've gone
news.
to it.
I do have some good news about say his name. You
McBucker?
nailed it earlier.
Mackenzie.
Oh,
Mackenzie
Mackenzie and Bako.
Mbako.
Mbako.
So he's
Mbako.
on a visit today.
I think the G is silent.
It is.
Mbako.
It is. It is.
Mbako, okay.
Yes.
So he's on a visit today.
this
and
very day.
Her source, Kentucky, is the only school really mentioned for him right now. And so,
Just commit, bro.
yeah.
Just commit. Just commit.
And he has no intentions of returning to
He
IU.
did, yeah.
He
No.
said that.
A ton of upside too. Like
Yeah, 6'9", 220,
He's a
averages
sophomore.
12, 4, and 1.
So
Solid guy.
insanely
Solid
high
guy.
athletic upside too. Like
Yeah.
he just needs to find a coach to unlock it. It's not gonna be Mike Woodson.
before we get into talking about Cassidy Rowe, we're gonna take a quick break and play Who's That Wildcat? All right, folks, fellas,
Oh,
gentlemen.
we're starting. Hello.
We're in.
Hey,
We're here. We're ready to do it
We're back.
with Who's That
Wildcat?
Wildcat? That's-
Oh, I didn't know we were all doing
No,
that.
we don't. We aren't. Claps. Yep. There we go.
Wildcat.
There we go.
like, I've won this like 5 times now.
That's
So-
false.
That's not
So,
true. Not
all right.
false news.
We will have a question. I'll give you the rules, Lane, because you have not done this, and also I change the game every week. So,
All right, awesome.
this week, I will just be giving a sentence that describes a former Kentucky Wildcats player, all of them within the last 10 years. And I believe all of these questions pertain to, a short thing about them at Kentucky, a short thing about them in the NBA draft, and then who are they?
Okay.
So,
It was Eric Bledsoe. Bro. It was like
oh my,
mini
it was
LeBron.
That's a good one.
I
It was
no,
mini-
no, it's not in this
that's-
one. He didn't know who. None of them knew who Mini LeBron.
I would've had
was.
you.
Thank you. They were all like, "Oh, nobody calls him Mini LeBron." And I was like, "You don't know. You don't." Get it.
That was the
You don't
nickname, dude.
get
I
That
it."
think what I said
It was
was
Mini
no
LeBron
one
out
has
of
called
college.
him Mini LeBron in like 20 years.
Because
I
he's playing for
still
the
call him
Shanghai
Mini.
Sharks.
I
and he's
still
like
call him
40.
Mini LeBron.
Whatever. He's out there going knee how every day. I don't want to hear
ready,
it.
Ready,
He's Mini
lock
LeBron.
in, lock in. Question will be there. You can look there. You can look
Okay,
there.
I'm gonna
look
Yeah, you
there.
can look wherever you
No,
want.
I'm looking
Do
there.
we have to
There's
like ring a
Sorry.
buzzer or something?
No,
or,
you're
like,
just gonna
just
yell
gonna
it
go.
out. Just gonna
Okay.
yell it out. Ready? This Kentucky guard was drafted 13th overall in 2015. Went on to win 6th Man of the Year award in 2020.
Malik Monk.
No,
Devin Booker.
Devin Booker.
Come
He
on.
Number
Book won
one.
6, man.
Yeah, he went. I know that was one that I was like,
Monk
wow.
definitely got drafted later.
Yeah, yeah, probably. All right.
I sold that
I feel
one.
like Debo's always
I feel like
been
I
a
could have
starter
said
to me.
that.
I got my
Like,
right answer. I
because
can
the
show
Suns
him
are so
now.
bad.
Yeah, but
I forgot he got picked 13th, man. That's
yeah,
crazy.
he wasn't like
13th,
this
yeah.
like big hot topic coming out of college.
I mean,
really.
he came off the bench for us, didn't
Yeah,
he? 6
exactly.
man.
So
he did
yeah.
drop 70.
He
You know,
did
the
drop
second-
70.
Yeah, did
Against
drop
the
7.
Celtics.
Shout out.
Let's go.
Against the Celtics, shout out.
They suck.
Jay
So-
Crowder posted on Instagram a picture of Devin Booker and the whole team with the
Yeah,
with the
dude.
70 thing, and
That
he
was
said,
hard.
"A lot of smiles for an L" or something like that. It was like, "Shut up, Jay Crowder."
Come on, 70 bomb.
70
What's
bomb,
Jay
dude.
Crowder's career high? Like 12?
Dude, probably.
Probably.
That's
Probably.
good.
Probably.
He got
He-
21.
Yeah, okay.
At least.
Closest Jay Crowder's ever going to get to 70 was his jersey number, 99.
For real. Okay. All right. Question two In 2017, this Kentucky guard hit a game-winning shot over UNC in the Elite Eight, but it was answered by the buzzer beater. You already had that. Malik Monk.
We all had that.
Easy. Not everybody. What happened?
Luke May.
Don't even. That's making me sick.
You gotta read the end of the question.
It's making me sick.
Saw it answered by a buzzer beater at the other end. I had to put a UNC.
Where's Luke May these days?
Yeah, exactly.
He's doing taxes.
Probably. We're gonna H&R blog. All right. Question 3. A fierce big man for the Wildcats. This player was the SEC Player of the Year in 2020 before being drafted by the Pelicans. Who is he? It's getting a little tougher.
By the Pelicans.
He was drafted by the Pelicans?
SEC Player of the Year in 2020?
Oh, my God.
According to this Google search I did.
Maxey?
No.
Big man.
Big man.
Big
Oh,
man.
my fault. Shit.
Keon Brooks is on the Pelicans now.
Not Keon Brooks.
It can't be him, though, because he was never SEC Player of the Year.
This is like a guy who you think about in the NBA and you're like, damn, this guy blew it.
This guy blew it?
This
guy's like, he still plays, but like, this guy could have been.
It wasn't Nick Richards.
Nick Richards.
What?
Nick Richards.
SEC Player of the Year.
You got SEC Player of the Year?
That's what this Google search told me. I don't know if it's lying or not.
You need to fact check
I'm a Nick
yourself.
Richards fan. I like that.
I think it's a good listen. Nick Richards, is he on the Hornets right now?
Yeah.
Suns
Yes.
now.
Suns
Suns.
now?
Oh,
Suns now.
wow.
That's what I'm saying. He's bouncing around.
He got hit in the face with a ball the other day. That was rough.
Shout out Nick Richards.
Shout out Nick Richards, man. I miss Nick Richards.
Yes.
All right. Question number 4, second to last. What can we get a score check right now?
2-1 zip.
Dang.
Dude, yikes.
I'm a nice host.
Question 4. He always likes to go, I'm just a good host, I just let them win. Like, okay. Standout rebounder, physical presence. Wildcat was drafted 7th overall by the Blazers in 2023. Who is he?
7th.
This is a guy who we just spoke not happy words about. And he said, I hope his name is never spoken again. Like 5 minutes ago.
I said that?
Yes, you did.
Did I really?
Or something like that.
Shaden Sharp?
Shaden
Let's
Sharp.
go. I had to call him my hatred there. I was like, yeah.
Shaden
I don't
Sharp.
even remember. Like, he's not even a Wildcat, bro.
He never suited up for Kentucky
Come on,
for
man.
a single game, but technically
He sat over and
he's
yelled
on the roster.
bench, yeah.
So
Calipari hadn't seen him.
Calipari hadn't seen him. No,
Cold.
I mean,
Wow.
cold.
All right.
That's
Well, let's
cold.
just say the last question just
Triple
because.
point.
No, triple points for the last question.
Whoa.
It's anybody.
Hey.
Wayne clearly has not seen these before. Triple points just to give whoever gets it the secured
Keep
victory.
a little competitive edge.
Well,
you know?
even if
Yeah.
Kai gets it, he's still
True,
gets
yeah, he's
3.
just tied.
So it's just a tie.
Right.
We'll do a
all right.
tiebreaker. Ooh.
No tiebreaker.
No
You guys play rock,
tiebreaker.
paper, scissors. I'm not looking for one this week.
All right.
Put a lot of work in.
Like
Question
race outside.
5.
Question 5. This Kentucky guard was drafted 12th overall in 2020 by the Kings and is known for his sharp shooting and high basketball IQ.
The Kings.
The Kings. No longer plays for the Kings. Little hint. Was betrayed. I
De'Aaron
would say
Fox?
no. I would say
Frick.
was betrayed by the Kings.
Malik Monk again.
No,
Okay.
there's no. The only
Betrayed
one
by the Kings.
I'll say betrayed by because they traded him so young and he was doing like bringing the culture up, and then they traded him.
At the Kings.
Was he part of the Tyrese Halliburton trade?
No, it was
No.
before Hallie. Hallie was 21 season. So this is
Dude.
the year before.
Who is this guy?
Year
Oh
before
my
Hallie.
goodness.
It's not Keldon
Bro.
Johnson.
It's Tyrese Halliburton.
He's not a Kentucky.
He's not a
He's not-
Wildcat.
Why did it say he was a
He's
Wildcat?
not a
He
Wildcat.
played for Iowa State.
Oh yeah, he played for Iowa State.
That means I
put the
win.
wrong
Israel,
name
you
there.
sold.
That means
you
I win.
sold this
No,
episode.
you gotta make another.
All right, hold on. I
We
gotta
gotta
come
make
on.
another.
All right, hold
one.
on. Give me
Wow.
5. Give me 5.
See,
Maybe I
I
was
knew
thinking
it
of
was
Maxey,
Tyrese
and I just
Halliburton,
messed it
but-
up.
Hallie, bro.
Hallie.
Kentucky legend Tyrese
Kentucky
Halliburton.
legend Tyrese Halliburton. Because your boy clearly got enough sleep last night.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. This University of Kentucky basketball player is the last Kentucky player to get picked up in the second round.
Okay.
Averaged over 20 points per game
Ooh.
in his season at Kentucky before being drafted
Here?
by the Orlando Magic, traded on draft night.
Drafted by the Magic, traded on draft night.
Traded to where?
Keldon Johnson again.
Not
Let freedom ring.
No, the last player. Think about. Just go back in your head. Think about Kentucky draft picks. Who was the last guy to get picked in the second round?
Oh, Antonio Reeves.
Antonio Reeves.
Ooh.
There you go.
Is that 6 points for me?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, swept us.
All right, so fine. We will call it there.
Lane, congratulations.
Congratulations on the win. Guess seems to win more often than not. Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's
study.
how you gotta do it.
That's how you gotta do it, right?
Yeah.
You gotta make sure they're happy,
Yeah.
right?
Right, I'm going home with something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A high five. We don't have an actual trophy
Cool,
for
cool,
you.
cool.
or
Yeah.
anything,
I
but,
mean, you could take your Starbucks you have as your trophy.
That I paid for, right?
Yeah, I'll offer.
Right. No, yeah, it's true. He did offer.
All right, guys. Our last segment of today's podcast is going to be a touchy subject. We're going to talk about Cassidy Rowe and their entire situation going on with the Rowe family, Kenny Brooks. Before this starts, it's probably going to be a little opinionated. Probably not, we're going to talk as factual as possible, but some of this stuff is speculation. It's been said, on Twitter and stuff like that. So all of this is just going to be probably mostly opinionated. So for anyone that doesn't know what happened, Cassidy Rowe had a sit-down interview with Rise Up Sports Media, which ended up leading to her Instagram post. It was basically like the same thing she said in the interview. And she announced that she was retiring from basketball. She'd forego her senior season, and she was going to be, chasing her PT here at Kentucky. So, guys, I want to know your opinions when you saw that news and, we're like, oh, Cassie, for real?
I mean, it's just nothing but remorse, sadness, and like coming from someone who loves basketball as much as I know we all do. You feel happy for players when they achieve their dreams, especially like Cassidy did, growing up a Kentucky fan, putting on the big blue, and just going out every day, a full Wildcat, and just seeing it kind of ripped away from her. You feel for it, and it's like, oh my goodness.
It's not to mention though that like it's not like she came here and played 3 years and did like 3 years as a starter and they cut her, and that's different, but she came in here 3 years as like your glue guy on your bench, always up, hyping everybody up when they come off the court, talking to your players, keeping them in the game, coming out there, giving you, feisty defense, giving you a steal, giving you energy when you don't have it. And being that Kentucky native, really fighting for what's on in the front of her jersey. And, she was obviously very surprised when it happened. She had, wow, I didn't think I'd ever have to make this announcement, blah, 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 blah. But going off of that, it's hard to tell. I mean, originally it was hard to tell exactly what happened. It was like, okay, well,
why is she retiring?
Why is she retiring? And then it was like, okay, well, the rumors were flying around that she didn't have a scholarship anymore. And then when that kind of hit, it was like, okay, why did Kenny Brooks take away a scholarship of a player who's your glue guy, has one more year left, has been here for 3 years, does everything in her heart and soul for the name on the front of her jersey for this one season?
I mean, the thing that intrigued me the most was Alan Keller had on Cassie's father, Lonnie, and talked to him, and he provided some very good insight on the situation because, I trust Phoenix from KSR, and I trust, all these media outlets saying this, but you're getting it from the father of...
Yeah,
that's the guy you listen to. That is your source.
You can depend on that. And he kind of went into a thing where he's like, he doesn't think Kenny looked into all the really precise details. What I gathered from it was that, Coach Brooks is trying to win. Cassidy, had her scholarship pulled for, whatever reason we may figure out. But he was assuming that Coach Brooks didn't realize that all the PT programs were closed and where Cassidy's enrolled in like summer courses, that it basically lets the family have to pay for her, last year of school because she's not on scholarship anymore. So that's why I felt like the family felt really blindsided by it. He even said like he didn't even know about it, that he told Cassidy's mom, and then, it kind of trickled down from there. So, he spoke very highly. Cassidy said she's handling it like a champ, raised her to be a good, Christian woman. That's how she's being. She's being strong about it. But it's such a rough situation because I've been around Coach Brooks all season. I do not think he'd just kicked her off the team and said, like, you know, get out of here. We're trying to win. We don't need a little bench player. That's not the case at all. So, like, I'm so interested to see more details come out and actually see Coach Brooks speak on it because I feel like we need an answer.
You gotta ask, too, like, before the season, he went out of his way to talk about how Cassidy, like, bled blue. They love having her on the roster.
Blue tears.
Blue tears, yeah. And I don't know, you got 15 spots on the roster. You're not playing 15 deep. It's a little suspect. I like Kenny Brooks, but, like, especially when you, like, kind of do take this situation, then you look at what Mark Pope did in the tournament with, like, Walker Toe and Horn and everybody where they got minutes in March Madness.
Zach Toe got minutes.
Zach Toe, Walker Horn, Zach Toe, yeah. Same sort of, like, deal where you've got these sort
like,
of.
I mean, that's a walk-on too. That's
completely different.
You're giving minutes in March Madness, and you're not even giving Cassidy Rowe, who's been on the team.
At any other school, like, might be different, but this is Kentucky, and this is a big deal. So
it's a culture. It's a
the
big
culture.
culture.
It's a big culture thing. The people here were completely enraged about this. Like, I was reading some of the quotes from people. This is per Jenna Lifshin's article. It was a great pleasure cheering on Cassidy Rowe with my daughter. That is something you have to think about. She was a role model to Kentucky kids.
She was.
And that,
really tough.
like, even my own little sister who only pays attention to Kentucky because I go here was like, AJ, why'd they cut her? She's from Kentucky. Like,
and I mean, like, Lonnie even gave insight on that. It's like they had schools reach out to her when she was making her decision. She committed to Kentucky, I believe. You know, it was either her 8th grade year
I think it was her freshman year.
or her freshman year of high school. Yeah. And, you know, she suffered her injuries, but she chose Kentucky because she grew up 100 so miles from here. And it's like...
Grew up in Virgie.
Her high school's 3 hours away from here.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's one of those things where I didn't really understand it, like, looking at everything as a whole, because, like, Alan Cutler's, I believe is his co-host, I'm not sure, but he was like, this isn't a football program. Like, you don't have random walk-ons and 80 players you got to deal with. Like, if you're trying to win, that's fine, but don't blindside the family. Tell them ahead of time. And also look into her situation because, you know, now her life is like, you know, basketball does not pertain to her anymore. You know, she's moving on to her next step. You know, I hate to be personal, but, like, she's married now. She's taken this whole next step of life, and her last season at Kentucky, the place she always dreamed of playing at, you know, it's not going to happen. She's not going to have a senior night. She's not going to be able to get her flowers at midcourt and cry those blue tears and have the fans cheering her on. You know, it's a rough way to go out.
Like, that's terrible to think about. And I know you say you don't want to get too personable, but basketball, this isn't just a business. These are people you're dealing with. These are your teammates, families, brothers, sisters that you're dealing with. Kenny Brooks called every single one of those players on his team a daughter at one point. And to do this and...
I have to question it.
Yeah, that's why, like, I'm not even trying to talk bad about Coach Brooks. It's like I wish there were more details about it because he is like...
I wish we could hear what he has to say.
Yeah, I've been around him all season. He is like... He's the most lovable coach you can have coach a women's basketball program.
Right.
He's been in this business for over 20 years. Like, he knows what he's doing. He's a great guy off the court. He's a great coach on the court. I've, you know, given him fist pumps and seen him smile, and I don't think that's an outside shell, and he's like this evil guy that people are making him out to be on Twitter and stuff. What happened? Like, how did he not look into the situation a little more? And, like, you know, I don't want to bring up, like, anyone lying, but, like, what's the truth of the situation, you know?
Yeah, I think that's why none of us are going too hard on Kenny Brooks. You look at him for 10 minutes, you can tell the kind of person he is. And the kind of person he is, I need to know the extra details. The fans need to know the extra details of what happened here, because that's just something you don't do at Kentucky. That's unheard of at Kentucky.
And someone made a good point. It'd be like if Travis Perry stayed here another 3 years and then
cut him.
Pope cut him,
bro.
You know, it'd
No
be weird.
explanation.
Like, you'd be
Yeah.
like, you know,
And
why?
You guys mentioned too, like, radio silence so far from Brooks. Like, I think he'll end up probably having to say something.
I think
he
he'll
has
just
to.
have to save his own butt.
Yeah.
Well, like,
He's
Sirius
getting
X,
chewed out.
He's getting dogged.
I mean, Sirius XM, they were talking about Georgia getting another national award. And, obviously him and Georgia have
Shout
amazing.
All-American.
Yeah. She has amazing history with Coach Brooks. And, obviously he has to comment on that. Obviously.
Yeah.
Like, that's Georgia Amore. She's a lottery pick in the WNBA draft. But there was literally, like, 80 comments of, like, Kentucky natives being, like, adding Coach Rowe and adding Cassidy and Rise Up Sports saying, like, please talk about this, please talk about this, please, please, please. And it's, like, getting to a point where it's, like, gosh, man, like, this is bigger than you realize. Like,
this is such a stain on what was a great, great first season for Kenny Brooks. And this is going to go on into the future. Brooks can win so much with Kentucky. Everyone's always going to circle back to this.
I think people are not going to forget easy. Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Definitely not.
and, like, just speaking on, like, how big of a situation it is, look at Jenna. Like, our own Jenna Lucian here at the Kernel, 150K impressions on Twitter and, like, hundreds and hundreds of likes on her story on the Kernel website. It's like, that's a huge story, like, an opinion on that. And when people are trying to be careful and, like, not get anything drastic happen from the women's basketball side and just kind of, like, speak informationally, she went out there and spoke her piece, and everyone agreed with her.
Heck of a column.
Yeah, everyone agreed with her that Cassidy does not deserve this. It could be literally anybody else, not Cassidy.
It's such a rare thing in today's society when everyone can agree on something, let alone in like a place like here, everyone agreed. This is not how that situation should have been handled. I fully think that there needs to be more details coming out on what happened.
I'll give you two players who I'd take over dropping her. Gabby Brooks and Lexi Blue.
That was the bad conversation that was had because everyone's like, well, Coach's daughter's still on scholarship.
And she
and
is
it's like,
not very good at basketball.
No, she is. They're all good.
But, like, if you keep
good,
your daughter,
they're college players.
it's just interesting, man.
Yeah.
It's like if like, Cal had a Kentucky on his team, and he had Brad Calipari, and he cuts the Kentucky.
But I just
like,
mean more so
thing,
if you're going there and you're cutting you're not your best player. You're cutting some of your worst players in your team to save some roster space, whatever.
Yeah.
And you go cut Cassidy Rowe and not some of the other players who just as easily could have been cut without as much of a cultural impact that it made.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I know I'm not promoting or nothing, but, like, on my own post, I saw someone saying, like, Coach Brooks recruited Lexi, obviously his daughter, and all these people that came from Virginia Tech, like Claire in Georgia, all that. He's like, Cassidy wasn't his. Like, it was from Matthew, and then she played for Kyra Elsie. It's like, it's not his player, so it's like, that's why she got the boot. But it's like, I don't think that's true either.
I don't think it
Like,
works like that.
It's all speculation
You become
until
the
we
coach of
know.
the
Until
team,
we
you
know.
become the coach of the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your franchise.
That's
your
your
That's
player
team.
now.
That's your player now.
Yep.
That's
just because it wasn't when she got her, scholarship here when she was in freshman in high school, whatever.
Doesn't matter,
mean
right?
that in 4 years, 5 years, well, I guess 8 years, then she can't, still be on that roster. It's,
Looking at it like that's crazy too.
Yeah.
Zooming out that whole thing,
And-
and it just
Yeah.
ends like that.
And
8 years
also,
of, I'm gonna play basketball at Kentucky.
And I'm gonna
Yeah.
finish out there, and then right on your last
It's
year.
sad.
and
Sucks,
also, like,
man.
my last point that I'll make, it's fine at this point if Kenny stands on business and says, we're trying to hang up banners, sorry, that's life, that's the transfer portal, that's the world we live in now.
still
That would
disagree
go
with
over so
that.
Well,
poorly.
he'll be like,
He'll
the
say
Kentucky
something.
crowd might not appreciate it, but, like, if big if that's the case, sure, I mean, we can live with that. Like, looking at it from a stats standpoint, like, I know it's a hard angle to look at.
Yep.
Cassidy didn't average over a point. Her
.9.
season high was 6 points against Purdue.
Her
Fort
career
Wayne.
high was only 7.
I mean, what's his
Yeah.
daughter averaging though?
Exactly.
Like, if you're comparing roster spots and the
She
like,
doesn't really touch the court either.
I mean, you hate to bring that part of
you
the
hate to do it.
conversation
Yeah.
up
You
too, but you
have
have,
to. Yeah.
You know,
It's weird.
Why do you
it's
guys
weird.
weird?
It's a terrible, horrible situation, no
Terrible.
matter what angle you look at it.
And we could yap about this forever
Oh, we could.
about what it means or doesn't mean. But at the end of the day, it's messed up. I don't think you do that to somebody who you can reserve a roster spot for. At the end of the day, you have the spot for her. Give her the spot. Let her retire her senior year after she gets flowers, after she has senior night. Let her play her, 20,
She
30
deserves
more
that.
games.
She deserves
and then
that.
just do your next however many years at Kentucky, and nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares what you do.
I like the
Just
point
you don't
that
need to do that.
Alan made too. It was like, why can't she be, like worst case scenario, if you don't want her on the team and you want that last spot, why can't she be a team manager?
Yeah.
Why can't she be a sign-on assistant coach? She doesn't have to make the same salary as an assistant coach.
It kind of sounds like they didn't really talk about it. Like her and Brooks.
Yeah.
It seems like it just kind of happened.
Yeah,
It's like
Kenny was
so-
just like, okay, bye.
You could assume like they'd all sit down together. Like the fact that Lonnie didn't know about it first, or even Cassidy, like it was, his wife that found out first and had to relay that information. That fact kind of like I was blindsided by it. Can you imagine how he feels and Cassidy feels?
It's gotta be embarrassing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
It's crazy, man.
That's final straws. It just sucks until Coach Brooks says something, and I'm sure he'll try and cover some ground, which is good. I mean, he's gonna have to.
And again, this is recorded on Wednesday, so
Never know. Yeah,
if it
you
goes
never know.
out,
We'll
he
have
may
something
say
on.
something before then.
But is there anything he can say to where he doesn't get as much backlash as he's already getting
No,
right
Probably
now?
not.
He seems like a very he's a smart guy,
Yeah.
and you can tell that by him. We've been over this. Like Kenny Brooks is a great person. If he just comes out and says he messed up, that's probably the most perfect case scenario. Like, hey, I messed up. Worst case scenario, the Kentucky fans can look at him and be like, how do you mess that up? Like, you're a coach.
Yeah.
You've been doing this forever. Like, you should know how to look into that. That's best case scenario for him. Either way, as much as I love him and, most of Big Blue Nation loves him, there's going to be some backlash no matter what he says. So.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching another week of Kernel at the Buzzer. Make sure to go to kykernel.com for all your sports news and updates. And make sure to check us out at KY Kernel Sports on Twitter. Once again, I've been your host, Kai Mclelland, and thank you for catching up with the Kernel.